For those of you who don't know me, my name is Carly Schmitt. I am currently a senior at Johns Creek High School and will be attending Georgia Tech in the fall, where I will study international affairs and applied mathematics. The scripture I'll be talking about today is Jeremiah 29:11, which reads, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Now, normally this verse is inserted as an inspirational quote in a graduation card, but I believe it's important to provide some context to understand when and why it was written. The book of Jeremiah was written during the time of the destruction of the Holy Temple by the Babylonians and the exile of the Jews from the Holy Land. It was a dire time for God's chosen people. They resembled their ancestors from the Exodus, wandering the world for a place to call home. In the book of Jeremiah, they were considered to be like rebellious children. But this verse offers the people hope. God has a promise to restore his people and bring them out of their despair. When I first read this verse, I was a middle schooler with major anxiety issues. For a perfectionist and worrywart like me, it's hard to hear that someone else has a plan for you and that everything's going to be fine, even when we feel that things couldn't get better. I wanted to be in control of all situations and know exactly how everything was going to happen. I read about the history of the book of Jeremiah, and I couldn't imagine how these people felt. They had just lost everything, and now we're being told, "Oh, don't worry, you'll be fine," in 70 years. I quickly moved on from these verses and decided there was no way I could apply it to my life. Once when I was little, my sister had a donut that I really wanted to eat. Being the obnoxious big sister that she is, she decided to describe to me the donut's smell, texture, and delicious taste just to rub it in. I realized I could hear everything about the donut, but I would never really get to experience how great it tasted until I bit into it. I think the same thing can be applied to this verse. I could read and research the background all I wanted to, but I would never truly understand the promise God made to his people until I was in a desperate situation and experienced it. The summer after 8th grade, my mom passed away. In that moment, I suddenly felt God's presence among me and my family, and everything clicked. I realized that I wasn't in control of all situations, and even God wasn't. That I can't plan out my life exactly how I want it to go and expect that to happen. But God has a promise, and I just have to lean on it and on him. I'm not saying that it was in God's plan for his people to lose Jerusalem or for my mother to get sick. But in these desperate situations, what's most important is God's presence. God comes to his people and gives them this promise. In our lives, our world may come crashing down on us unexpectedly. There is an old Yiddish proverb that says, "When man makes plans, God laughs." We can hear about what faith is and how we are called to rely on God during the best and worst times of our lives. Even though I had read verses and came to church, it wasn't until I really had to rely on God in my life that I saw a glimpse of his promise. Now, I don't claim to understand what God's plans are or what my future holds in store for me, but I do know this. God's intention for us is pure, and no matter what happens in our daily lives, we have his promise to lean on. Thank you.